Dr. Lee Wei Ling's will, which reiterates her parents' explicit wish for the demolition of 38 Oxley Road, has been granted probate, her brother Hsien Yang announced. The two siblings, children of the late founding Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, have played key roles in preserving their family's legacy. Dr. Lee, the last surviving resident of the historic family home, passed away on 9 October 2024 at age 69, after battling progressive supranuclear palsy since 2020. In a Facebook post, Hsien Yang shared that the probate court had validated Dr. Lee's will, appointing him and his two sons, Li Shengwu and Li Wanwu, as executors of her estate. Li Wanwu was placed in charge of Dr. Lee's funeral, as Hsien Yang and Li Shengwu stayed away from Singapore due to fears of political persecution. It was earlier reported that Hsien Yang had been granted asylum in the United Kingdom, along with his wife, Li Suet Fern. In his Facebook post, Hsien Yang also revealed that the will includes a clause directing the executors to make public their parents' long-held wish for the property's demolition after the death of the last occupant. The clause in Dr. Lee's will reflects her father Lee Kuan Yew's instructions, stating, "My father's, Lee Kuan Yew, and my mother's, Kwa Geok Chu, unwavering and deeply felt wish was for their house at 38 Oxley Road, Singapore 238629, to be demolished upon the last parent's death." Lee Kuan Yew had directed each of his three children to ensure that their parents' wish for demolition be fulfilled. He had also appealed directly to the people of Singapore. "Please honor my father by honoring his wish for his home to be demolished." This echoes a similar directive included in Lee Kuan Yew's will, probated in October 2015. In his public post, Hsien Yang noted, "Probate courts make judgments on the validity of wills, and a grant of probate certifies that a will represents the wishes of the deceased." As executor of Dr. Lee's estate and the sole legal owner of 38 Oxley Road, Hsien Yang filed a formal application with the Urban Redevelopment Authority on 21 October 2024 to demolish the property. He reiterated his commitment to fulfilling his parents' wishes, stating, "After my sister's passing, I am the only living executor of my father Lee Kuan Yew's estate." In his will, he wished for the house to be demolished immediately after Wei Ling was not there. "It is my duty to carry out his wishes to the fullest extent of the law." Hsien Yang also emphasized his intent to replace the house with a small private dwelling with the property to be perpetually retained within the family. The property, which served as the residence of Singapore's founding Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, has been a focal point of discussions about preserving national heritage versus respecting the wishes of the late leader. Following Hsien Yang's application, the National Heritage Board initiated a formal assessment to determine the house eligibility for preservation as a national monument. This follows a 2018 ministerial committee report that examined the property's historical, architectural, and cultural significance, but did not make any conclusive recommendations. The renewed NHB study has drawn scrutiny from members of Parliament. Progress Singapore Party NCMP Leong Mun Wai and Workers' Party MP Chua Keng Wee Louis questioned the necessity of a fresh assessment given the prior 2018 findings. In a written response, Minister for Culture, Community and Youth Edwin Tong stated that the NHB study is part of a formal procedure to provide a comprehensive recommendation for the Preservation of Monuments Advisory Board. Minister Tong explained that the 2018 research was incorporated into the Ministerial Committee report, but was not formally presented for independent evaluation. This renewed study ensures the necessary objective criteria are applied to determine if 38 Oxley Road should be preserved as a national monument, he clarified. While the renewed NHB assessment focuses on compiling the necessary information for a formal recommendation, some, including the members of Parliament who filed the PQs, are questioning whether this new study merely duplicates earlier findings. The debate over 38 Oxley Road highlights tensions between the use of public authority and private wishes, with public opinion overwhelmingly favouring the demolition in line with Lee Kuan Yew's explicit directives. While the late leader firmly opposed the house becoming a public monument, the ruling People's Action Party has pushed to preserve the property, citing its historical value. Supporters of Lee Kuan Yew's last wishes, including his son Hsien Yang, argue that honouring the demolition reflects respect for the late Prime Minister's principles and commitment to simplicity. They view the government's resistance as contradictory, given its repeated assertions of upholding his legacy. Critics contend that the government's preservation efforts are less about heritage and more about leveraging the property as a symbol of political continuity. Public opinion remains firmly in favour of demolition, with many Singaporeans arguing that preserving the house would go against the values Lee Kuan Yew championed, including pragmatism and respect for personal directives. This growing divide between public sentiment and government action raises questions about the ruling party's priorities and its interpretation of Singapore's founding leaders' legacy.